right, hello everyone. Welcome to FormData. So, I hope that, there we go. By the end of this lesson, I hope that each and every one of you will be able to retrieve data from, wait for it, forms. All right, so we've got the readings. I've talked about this a couple times. Before we go any further, hit me with some questions. What is what's confusing about forms? What have you tried that isn't working? What do you want to know a little bit more under the hood about? Hit me.
Well, I can get my form to work as far as letting me enter data, but I can't get it to go anywhere except into a URL bar on my results page. I can't get it on the form itself.
Gotcha.
I can't even get it to go to another page. So same boat, but less success.
Okay. Multiple pages. Prevent default. What else?
Maybe a local storage refresher. How to take that data and do stuff with it dynamically.
All right. What else?
Also, action, whether it's needed or not needed, because I saw some discussions about that online, about whether it's required or not.
Ah, beautiful. Method in action. What else?
How we can take that local storage and manipulate our APIs with it.
Okay, what else?
The whole reason I asked this question is I know I got my form to do what I want it to do, but it doesn't use form data, and that got a red X for me.
You goddamn right it does.
I didn't know what form data was when I was doing it. I was just like, you know what, this works. I'm getting it on the page. I'll just keep going. And yeah, reading about form data on like the Firefox pages, MDN, and things like that, I was like, this seems either a bad explanation or a much worse way to do it. So I assume I'm just not understanding.
All right. Other questions? All right, before I go any further, let's take a little bit of time and just read through the stuff on the site. It's not crazy long. Happy to talk about it, demo it. We can walk through some stuff together. But let's start with the reading. So form submission, I believe this is. This has probably just about everything we need. There we go. So I'm going to throw this in Zoom chat. And I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. 5 minutes? Yeah, it's about 5 minutes. 5 minutes, read through this. Let's start there. Go!
I've got a spinning blue circle.
Uh-oh.
Same here. I was trying to troubleshoot it on my end. I thought it was just me.
And me too. I can't get in.
If you have a tab already open, you can just go through there instead of clicking on the new link.
I have no tab.
I also tried that part now.
Yep, that's what that is.
I even had to log in, and I still get the circle of death.
Okay, but we know why the circle of death is happening, right? Because the server falls over. Server falls over, one of these little red dots happens. It's not like your computer or like something you need to troubleshoot. It's because the server fell over. That means that we can't get any data out of it, including whatever. All right, I'll put it up on the screen. Read it along with me. All right, I'm going to scroll through that again, starting from the top. All right. So, let's see it in action. Why don't you go ahead and head on over to Code Sandbox. Start up a vanilla. Blow out this index. And what we're going to do is put a form in the HTML. So the form should go above that script. We're going to have a single labeled input. Let's call it email. We're going to give it an input to attach to. Be type email. We'll have an ID of email and a name of email. The label will be for email. And then we need a submit button. And then I sure do think that looks ugly, so I'm going to, yeah, we can just do it right here in the head. I'm going to put a style in the head that will take all labels and inputs and make them display block. All right, that's a little better already. And then I'm going to target that submit button with type submit. And push the rest of the form a little bit away from it. While I'm at it, let's make that label a little less stupid too. Font size 12 pixels. Color, how about a 20% gray? Hey, there we go. Now we have a form that doesn't look half so bad. All right, take a second to get caught up. Your screen should look like my screen. Can't make all you fucking people happy. All right, give me a thumbs up if your screen looks like mine. Seeing a thumbs up, a thumbs down, some thumbs ups, some thumbs ups, a thumbs down. All right, I'm going to give another 30 seconds or so.
The one question I do have is, how'd you get your submit button to be underneath your box? Mine's to the right of mine.
These styles. By making the input and the label display block, because by default, labels and inputs are display inline. And so this, and this all show up in a row by default. If you make them display block, the label, the input, and the button will each take up their own line.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, that drives me nuts. So even in a demo like this, can't live with that.
So I moved my input underneath label, and now I have nothing on my screen. Just everything went away.
Okay, that probably means you broke the syntax somehow. All right, Tiffany, watch the screen share. Let's get it figured out.
Okay. All I did was move it right below it, and it went blank.
So you have 2 unsaved files. That might be part of it.
Oh, well, I still don't have it like yours.
All right, so let's figure out what's going on there. Also, save your other file. There we go. All right, back over to index. So why, oh why, might this not be showing up? So we've got a head tag. We've got a style tag. We have labels. Types. Try refreshing the inner browser.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that thing.
That one. Sorry, it's going to refresh the other one because I already hit Control R.
All right, that's fine. Hey, there we go. That kind of looks
That
like
worked.
mine.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. All right, anybody else need a hand getting there? All right, back on the wagon. So what we want to do is make it so that when you fill out this form and click the button, we get something that we can do with that input. So if I do Kyle at sikaeducation.com, stop it. So if I do that and hit submit, watch the URL bar when this happens. It'll flash for a second. Oh, so fast I didn't see it. But hey, nothing happened. Suck. So the problem is that by default, a form will take all of this stuff, send it to the exact same page as a query string. So like if I did this on a regular site and hit that, what you'd see is a query string get added to this that said question mark email equals Kyle at whatever the symbol for that is. So it's like, you know, %67 at Sika education, whatever the thing for dot is. So %35. So you'd see something like that show up in the URL bar. That's not what we want. That doesn't help us at all. We want to handle this with, stop it. We want to handle this with JavaScript. So let's head over to that JavaScript file and grab the form element. Before I do it, I want you to have a chance to do it. So head over to the JS file, see if you can access that form element and log it. Take a minute for that. Go. Grab the form element in JavaScript, log it. All right, so the way that we grab a form element Same way you get any element. We could do that with the tag. We could do that by putting an ID on this. So I could change that to like email sign up. Any normal way that we can get an element. Cool. Next thing, so let's log that, make sure that we actually got it. Hey, cool, there's the form. So what we want to do now is listen for the submit event.
Event listener form.
So we add the event listener. We're listening for the submit event of the form. And that's going to, second argument is going to be a function. That's a function definition. Event is the parameter for the function. So this is also a higher order function, just like map and filter and all that kind of stuff were. Add event listener takes two arguments, a string with the name of the event, and a function that we want to call whenever the event happens. And the first thing that we want to do when that submit event happens is, who can tell me?
Prevent default.
Prevent default! Okay, so once we do that, the form's default behavior is no longer a factor. I can slam on that button all day long, nothing happens. I'll prove it. So I go over here. Hey, there it is. So we're making it to this block of code just fine. No other weird stuff happening in the app. Questions so far? Cool. So, doesn't help us a ton because we don't have the data. Like if I wanted to actually submit this email address to an API, how would I do such a thing? And the answer is with FormData. So next thing I want to show you is this event. So event is an object that has tons of details about how the event happened. So like if I fire that off, we can see all of this stuff. It has like, see what time the event happened. It has like whether or not it's going to bubble. Bubbling is when an event goes past the form to whatever element is containing the form, fires it on there. It has the type of event that it was, all that kind of stuff. One of the coolest properties of this is the target. The target of an event is the element that fired the event itself. So if I log event.target, check what logs when I submit this. It's kind of cool. It's the actual form element itself. That's neat. So I can make a FormData object out of that. And it looks like that. New FormData, capital F, capital D, pass in the form element. And that's going to give us FormData, lowercase f, capital D. That's going to be a magical object that we can use to get any of the data out of that form. So for example, if I want the email address, I could say email is formdata.get email. And what that's going to look for is an input with the name of email. So like the for of a label goes to the ID. Name is what FormData uses to pull something out. So this will be like that. And then if I log it, I can fill out an email address. And now I have it in JavaScript. Take a second to get caught up. Shh. I can have any number of form inputs. That's how you get the data out of it. Ask me questions about that.
Is it the same if you're using like the drop-down options as well?
Yep. So if I had a drop down, like so I put a select there, and there's going to be an option for new, renewing, and I don't know, canceling. Okay, so if I do that, here's how I make this data accessible. The thing that has the name is the select, not the options. So that'll be like the type. What the options have is values. So each of these will be what the value of that select element is when you retrieve it. Like so. So now when I submit this, I could also do like FormData.get type. Log them both. So now this could be Old Man Coverly. I'll pick renewing, submit it, email address, renewing. So that was just making a select thing. The value of this select is going to be whichever option is currently selected.
Wait, did that still work even though we didn't close the select?
Oh, yes, and here's why. So what this did is it'll close it anyway. What it ends up doing is it thinks I'm starting a new select inside of that, and then it'll probably go all the way down to the bottom of the body and then automatically close my other select right there. So it technically works, but good Lord, is it ugly.
So any differences if you're entering, like, for example, a birthday?
None.
Or
so let's do some other ones. Let's do like input type color. This will be favorite color. By the way, I see people getting this wrong constantly. Attributes should be kebab cased. So like dashes like this. The convention is to use whatever the language itself uses. HTML and CSS use dashes between multiple words for everything. So if it's in HTML, it should be kebab cased. JavaScript camel cases everything except classes. So we camel case stuff in there. This, kebab case, JavaScript, camel case. PHP, snake case, like underscores between the words. Use whatever convention the language you're using uses for your own stuff. But I see a lot of people just camel casing the shit out of everything. Don't do that. All right, so I have this ID for that and a label. The favorite color for favorite color. All right, so I'm using this built-in color picker thing. So if I want to get that one, I wonder what I'll get back. I'm kidding, I know. So I pick like a Sika sort of blue. And I put in an email address. And I keep it new. All right, let's check out what happens in the console when I send this. Actually, think to yourself for a second. What do you think is going to come back when I do the color? Any guesses?
Will the text be that color now? Or will it just show up as a color next to our previous two things, our email and our type?
Well, remember, we're getting it out of JavaScript. It's not necessarily changing anything about the page. What is this data going to be? So, like, think about the data type and the value for color. What will that be? Because all I see is like this stuff.
Hex color.
You think it's going to be the hex?
Mm-hmm.
Or an HSLA.
Oops. It was favorite
It's
color.
null.
All right, let's see what it is. Oops. I broke something. There's something else I didn't close? So I've got that label and input. I've got that label and input. I have this select, open, close, open, close, open, close, single-sided, close. Let's take a look at the actual DOM. Does it look okay here? Yep, 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 yep.
Did you save?
I did before I was doing all that. All right, let's take a look now. Looks like Tiffany's right. I get a string with the hex value back. What if I do a date? Birthday. Date. Birthday. Birthday. Cool. All right, let's see what happens if I fill it out. Pick a custom color. Some kind of, let's do one of these. And if we go over here, leave that the same. Has my email address, has the option I picked, has the hex code, has the date as a string. Spoiler alert, everything you pull out of a form is always a string. Always, always, always. Even the number like type. If I do like age in here. Oops, that's number. So if I put an age on there and try to pull that out, still comes back as a string. Looks like a number, but that's a string. See? Other questions about how we pull data out of forms? All right. Prevent default. We done it. Method and action do not matter when we're doing this kind of form. You can totally leave them off. They don't do anything. They do matter when you're trying to send the data to another page, like through the query string. So if you want to do that stuff, I'd highly recommend you watch the video that I made on that last Friday, which is, assuming that the site's back up. All right, current videos. Or no, it wasn't Friday. It was query strings. If you watch this video, that'll talk about how you can actually use that, the method and the action, or just leave them as defaults because they default to get, which puts all that data in the query string. And then just use the action to pick which page you're sending it to. And then you can use the query string API to pull that data out. So you wouldn't use FormData for that. You'd mostly use it for pulling it out so that we could, for example, send it to an API. Like if all of this was just Pokemon, so if I make this Pokemon and then throw a container to put it in, now that I have that data in JavaScript, I can do any JavaScript-y kind of thing with it. Like pull that out. This becomes Pokemon, yeah, just Pokemon. FormData.get Pokemon there. grab that container. Response.sprites front default. Set the alt equal to a name. Cool. So now if I say Pikachu, you say, oh, come on, man. Gotta spell the stuff right. Poke me on. All right, so if I say Pikachu, you say, wait for it. Maybe. Yes, no, maybe so. Did I give it an ID of Pokemon? Yep. Yep.
Do you need to pin something?
No, because I'm putting it directly on the element. Those are uppercase. Maybe I got the path of that thing wrong. Nope, nothing in there. Yeah, this needs to refresh. Well, let's see what error it's swallowing. Anything? All right, next troubleshooting step. Did it get there? Did I get here? Yep, that's a winner. So did it get inside of this? Hey, now that's something. Got a parse error at least. Okay, got there. I like that. So next thing, did it get there? Okay, so it got that. Ooh, that's the problem. So that is the name of this input. It has that ID. There's no inner HTML of a single-sided element. So if I change that to Pokemon display and this query selector to, come on now, Pokemon display. There we go. There's Ditto. There's Mew. I say Pikachu. You say Pika. Once it's out of the form, it's out of HTML, you can do any JavaScript thing you want with it. You can map it, you can filter it, you can fetch it, you can do whatever. If you want to do that searchy kind of thing with query strings, watch the query string video. We also talk about local storage in that one a little bit too. Any other questions before move on to the next lesson? that is FormData. All right.